Welcome back to Small Caps, ladies and gentlemen. And I know some of you out there are saying, where's Truth Bomb Tony? Well, it wasn't Tony's fault. It was mine because I've had a few things on. And yeah, I had a holiday. Oh, good heavens, you say. How could she possibly do that? Well, I did. Sorry about that. But we're back. Here he is, Truth Bomb Tony. Last time I spoke to him, it was Australia Day. There was a bit of a hope in the markets in January. Here we are, early stages of March. What's going on in the markets? Because that's what you all want to know. What are we doing? How are we going to protect ourselves? And what should we be looking at? So welcome back, Tony. Sorry about my absence for a couple of weeks, but good to see you again.
No problem at all, Kerry. I will send a text saying we're due for a small caps, and I guess taking a holiday. I mean, what's a holiday? It was like one of my little industrials paid a dividend, and I had to ask what's a dividend. But no, I'm glad that you got a bit of a holiday. I'm off to Hungary in about 5 weeks with my partner and my son, and yeah. But looking at the markets, January was straight out of the gates, lots of enthusiasm, and we've just been poleaxed again. So I'll divide the market up. So you've got the lithium rare earth stocks, which were capped at bugger all, now capped at $3-4 billion. So those stocks have got heaps of volume. You can change your mind 20 times on them a day. So we've got that sector. Then we go down to the micro caps, which is the sandpit I play in, and all the toddlers are throwing their toys out. And it's classic bottom of the market stuff. Because what happens is there's no market depth because there's no interest from buyers. You have a handful of sellers. That causes more people to sell. A stock market depth will spread like Sydney heads. And then you've got 20, 30% down. So I am absolutely copying that all over the place at the moment. I actually made a note. I'm actually keeping a journal of what I do this year. And on the 27th of February, that was my peak frustration day. That was the day I felt like going to the gym and ball slamming harder than what I normally do. So that hopefully was some form of bottom. So if you're into the micro caps, you're probably regretting your decision for being there because it doesn't matter how good the stock is, the Australian speculators have got no appreciation for biotech companies that Americans are interested in. So they'll just sell them off. Same with companies with in-ground resources and good assets. So yeah, it's a bit of a shit show at the moment. And the tough part for me is my calls, I'd honestly say, are down 80%. Some days I'd be lucky to get 2 phone calls.
Wow.
When I'm busy, I can get up to 100. So at the moment, new client flow has stopped. And there was a quote from Cullen Roach, which said, the stock market is the only market when it goes on sale, all the customers leave the store. So it's probably a good time to do something else. But unfortunately, Kerry, I'm linked to the market. I've got to sit here and babysit numbers. My clients aren't happy. Some of them want to punch me. But it's all part of going through a cycle that I've seen since 1998. And in 98, is this market ever going to pick up? .com, is this market ever going to go down? Again, Is this market ever going to go up? GFC, September 11. So what I want to reiterate to viewers is, if you're in quality small cap companies, this is an unusual time where we're in a period of chronically low prices. So this isn't the norm. These companies won't hang around these market caps. You might get a little bit of capitulation now. You never know. One stock might get absolutely routed, but this is abnormal. And I know it's hard to believe, but most of the time you're happy with what you own. And then the day will come where you're high-fiving everyone, fist pumps, and you're dreaming of that fortune. So yeah, it's a really bad time to be me at the moment. But hey, I've been here before. I'm working through it. I'm doing a lot of research. I'm onto the companies. I'm watching the market. And with the benefit of hindsight, like every other downturn, this will be seen as one of the great buying opportunities that only a handful of people partook in.
I so agree with you, Tony, because it's interesting. Human nature says people sit on the sidelines when things are going down and things look terrible. But if you believe in a company and a sector, let's just say it's copper, for example, and a particular copper stock 6 months ago was doing very, nothing has changed. The asset is still there, the management is still there. It's just sentiment in the market. And I often say to people, it's the money you make, the really interesting money you make, and by the way, not financial advice, just putting it out there. But the money you can make is when you buy, not necessarily when you sell. And right now, I guess with everybody, depressed, there are opportunities out there. So should we look at the opportunities, or do you think that the market has a bit further to go?
Well, that's exactly how I've been looking at some stocks. I'm starting to factor in a capital raise and some dilution. I don't know how they'll do it. Maybe they won't. But the way I look at it is you might have to raise at a 15% discount, the stock. So you might have 15 to 20% downside, but the upside potential is 5, 10, 20 times. So I like those odds. But at the moment, you've got to factor in everything that's going on. These are just great times to be a buyer, but what happens is there's no new buyers coming in because prices are low. They're reading the press.
Yeah.
Existing clients, we all make the joke as a speculator that we're going to have a lot of cash on the sidelines. Well, that's often rubbish because we're all fully invested. So we haven't seen a new flow of people coming in, and that will change once someone makes a discovery or there's a new breakthrough in medicine. But a lot of stocks technically are breaking down like a maths contestant at the moment, and that just fuels more negativity. So we're in this negative loop, but it's not the norm. And I go back through all my war stories over 25 years, and the best buying has always been when a stock's on its knees.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these stocks around a cent have gone on to dollars, not 10 cents, but dollars. But that's where you get the strong management. And you're not going to see a Bill Beament around every day of the week. Northern Star went under a cent, up to $15. As I joke, you would have had to be in prison or in a coma to hold it all the way, or lost your mail. Actually, I heard a good story where someone kept getting their mail from Northern Star and they completely forgot they had the stock. They did a check and they had the stock. I've got clients that don't open their mail that have discovered 100 grand worth of stock. So it is hard to hold when you're refreshing your phone every few minutes. I make the point, the world is drowning in dopamine. We're the TikTok affirmation generation, and it's hard. You're not going to see too many Warren Buffetts emerging, or an 18-year-old that can start buying an ASX 200 ETF and build that wealth. They all want instant gratification. So if you get rid of all the noise, you throw away social media, markets still operate like they have since the 1600s.
That's right. And again, history will tell you. And it's interesting, that story you just said about someone not opening their mail. That is exactly what happened to me many years ago with a stock. It was under a takeover. I didn't open my mail. I think I was away. I don't know. I can't remember what stock it was, but Ian Levy was the guy in charge at the time. And I remember him calling me up afterwards because everybody sold at, I think it was $6 or $7, and I hadn't realised. I just didn't open my mail. And eventually the stock was sold at a takeover at $10.50. And I remember Ian ringing me saying, I bet you're telling everybody that you're just a genius. And I'm like, no, I'm telling them all that I just didn't open my mail.
Yeah. It was I got a good mail story. I lived in my parents' house in Vic Park, and I was receiving mail for someone that had shares in Redback Mining and Allied. Redback Mining it was 11 cents. Allied was 11 cents. Redback Mining went to $29, and
Wow.
Fortescue was backdoored into that shell, and I think it went to about $270 equivalent. So there, but I didn't open their mail because that's the honest thing to do.
Yeah.
But there are stories, yeah. Sometimes I was joking with a client. I was saying, convert your stock to SRN or put it in a friggin' time capsule for 3 years.
Yeah.
We've just got too much access to stocks. Brokerage now is too cheap. Is you can if you can pay change
Well,
for
I,
10
th-
bucks.
I think you're right in one way, but I also think that there's the algorithms behind things. The market is, these algorithms that can play, and then you think you've got a stock for one price, and then the algorithm comes out and you can't see it on your screen anymore. There's some crazy stuff going on. It's not like I hate to say this, but it's true, the good old days.
Oh, absolutely. I've got in a liquid stock, and I'll go and place an order, and there's orders both sides that are
Yeah.
it's an algos. No one can place those orders that quickly. I just wish you'd piss off, go play in another stock.
Yeah.
But now we've got the algo types with high speed internet. Unbelievable. So it's actually, and I watched the opening and closing battles in stocks with huge moves, and it's the speed of getting orders on, adjusting numbers. The market is getting absolutely nasty at the moment.
So
Really is.
do you think we should try? It should be there be something where, I don't know, the regulator steps in and says you can't have algorithms trading the market. It's got to be real people trading the market, not algorithms.
Oh, good luck with that. I think, unfortunately, I read somewhere, don't quote me on this, that high frequency trading on Wall Street equates for 72% of trades.
I've heard that it's up there. I didn't know that it was 72, but I've heard absolutely it's right up there.
Yeah.
So something's wrong in the system. It's like the political system. There's something wrong in the system, but I don't know how we fix it.
Yeah, it's rampant. It's in liquid stocks. It's annoying. I can go into a stock and bid 24 cents, and suddenly there's two orders above me at 24 and a half.
Yeah.
And you see stock. It's anyway. We've got to play within those goalposts,
Yep.
so to speak. I know how the market works. If a company makes a discovery, then the good thing is, Kerry and viewers, is that some of these stocks will actually overshoot due to the hordes of traders in them.
That's true.
And so I think we can't all have it one way, that even though we're dragged along, we curse them. But on the flip side, they're perfect traders to dump into. Bless them.
Yeah, and look, one of the things that I'm looking at the moment, Tony, is you cannot get away from the fact that governments right across the world are turning around and saying we're turning, what is it? I'm turning
Japanese.
I'm
No.
turning Japanese. It's not I'm turning Japanese anymore. It's I'm turning green. Now, in order to do that, they need a lot of metals. They have to have a lot of metals. And the only thing that I think could potentially damage that is if somebody comes along and says, we're going to 3D print copper or silver or whatever, and we don't need metals anymore. But from where I can see, if you want to move the world to a zero carbon emission, I would have thought that the resources sector is a good sandpit to play in.
Well, I actually watched a very interesting video in saying that to fund this EV dream, the amount of copper that has to be mined, it's not going to happen. There's not a hope in hell of this happening. And that's it. You've got to increase other forms of energy from 3% to 9%. It's not going to happen. Where are you going to find 700 years of copper production when it's under 1% up in the friggin' Andes?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. This EV thing is it's made out to be the future, green future, but it's a crock. Unless you're Norwegian, where they've got what 80% EVs, they've got natural resource funds, they've done it well. But good luck finding all these resources. And Arnott say there's no substitute for quality, but guess what, Kerry? There's no substitute for copper. So,
Well, but in terms of energy, there is a substitute for the current. Let's do wind, let's do solar, let's do gas, let's do coal, and let's do oil. Let's do uranium. I mean, does Tony Locantro think that some of these uranium stocks, which are a little bit in the doldrums as well, is a place that people should be potentially having a look?
well, prior to the last little run, I had a meeting with Brandon Munro.
Oh, yeah, very smart.
Brandon, yeah, he's one of the real great voices of the uranium industry, and he was Bannerman. So
Yeah.
he came and saw me. Bannerman were 3 cents. They ended up 10 bagging, and the uranium price didn't do much at all. So he's now saying that there's a good chance of a sustained uranium bull market starting this year based on factors from 2019. And if anyone knows, it's going to be the likes of Brandon Munro and Rick Rule.
Yep.
So I've thrown in a small explorer that clients own just in case. Just in case. If you want to get the exposure, you go for your Paladins, those type of stocks. But yeah, I'd rather focus on a little Canadian in that Athabasca Basin.
Oh, yeah, it's a good area.
So it's a case of holding uranium stocks just in case. And last time after I met with Brandon, we held uranium stocks just in case, and it was a fluke 8 to 10 times.
Yeah.
So reading that article, it's worth chasing up what he has to say. And his knowledge of the uranium industry is far greater than mine. So the answer to that question is yes. And the hard part about trying to predict a bubble is when you're not in it, you can't. I'll say, well, how's that going to bubble? And when you're in a bubble, you don't realise you're in it. It's just like not knowing you're dead, but not knowing you're stupid. So anyway, bring it on. Let's just get back to a good old fashioned gold and silver bubble, and may the best people win.
Okay, well, before you go off with the uranium, because Brandon Munro, yeah, I agree, really smart. I tell you who's also very smart in that sector, and that's Duncan Crabb from Boss Energy. They've got the Honeymoon restart down in South Australia. What he doesn't know about uranium, he's such a smart guy, very considered, and really cares about shareholders. And, he went out and bought Yellowcake, the actual product, back when it was, I think, $30. It's now 51, 52. And he bought quite a lot. So he's doing the right thing by shareholders because he can see what's happening with this zero carbon emission rampage that government's going on. But his knowledge of the bigger picture is quite brilliant in my opinion. So just a shout out to Duncan because you mentioned Brandon, but I think Duncan's also equally got a great knowledge. But you just said two of my favourite words, gold and silver.
Yeah. Well, gold's still hanging around 2,700 Aussie. No one gives a shit. They all want to know about the US price, which is 1838 last I looked.
Yep.
Still not a lot of hype in the sector at all. There was one drill intersection on Thursday where it was Rox Resources came out with a pretty decent number. It was just a drill hit on one of their projects, and that actually at one point was up over 50%.
Oh.
I think it was one of those, I don't have it in front of me, but I think it was about 28 metres at 34.
Wow.
So just goes to show that if you come up with a decent gold hit, you do get some interest, but there was a lot of algorithmic trading in that stock. So I guess, the bots were alive and well.
That's Robert Ryan's running Rox now, isn't he?
Yes. That's right.
Yeah, and good guy, knows how to put projects together. So I often say, have a look at people as well. It's projects, but it's also people.
Exactly. And I think they closed near their highs as well. But I'm just using that as an example where you can get value for your shots. So, but
Okay.
yeah, honestly, looking at the gold sector, there, I can see the potential. There's no real competition with the buying at all at the moment. So, great announcement on Thursday from Pac Gold
You saw
saying
that.
30 kilometres district scale, and the stock's not far off its lows. Unbelievable. I guess shareholders, investors might look at it and say, well, this is going to take 2 to 3 years to drill out. Well, you look at those in De Grey at 6 cents to $1.80, whatever it got to. 2 to 3 years is a very, very short time,
Yeah.
especially when the market will focus on real companies and not the effluent that everyone wants to buy.
All right. So how to look since we haven't spoken for months, what do you think people should there's lots out there. Just give us an idea of what people should be doing because hope is not a strategy. We don't like hopium. We like uranium, but we don't like hopium. What should people be doing right now?
Well, a lot of them should be taking Imodium. Sorry, just to end something in IUM.
Very good, Tony.
It's
I'll play
oh
that
look,
one.
it's one of the oldest jokes in my arsenal. So
Well, I haven't heard it before, so you made me laugh. It's all
well,
good.
there you go. And speaking of Arsenal, they'll probably win. Yeah, anyway, it's all right. Well, what I'm suggesting is that I mentioned 6 companies with transformational potential at
Okay.
the end of last year on small caps. So those companies are still doing their best. So even if what you need to do is look at the announcements, get the feel of what a quality junior company is. So I'd suggest 3 sources of research. I think that the Paul Hopper stable of stocks are much maligned. They're
Yeah.
maligned because the share prices have fallen in line with the other biotech stocks. So 3 stocks to research: Imugene, IMU, Chimeric, CHM, Radiopharm, RAD. Imugene are about 13, Chimeric 7-ish, Radiopharm 13. They all have sponsored research reports. I think they're valued at Imugene 70, Chimeric 70, Radiopharm 71. Investors always will call out bullshit to sponsored research reports that are multiples of the share price. So, but the information's all there. I think Paul will make a decent comeback. He's a great operator.
Yeah.
So, yep, the share prices suck. His MDs, CEOs cop a lot of flack because they're dropping for no reason. So look at those biotechs. In the resources sector, obviously I am as full as a selected state school on Maronan. I think that is one of the most undervalued copper stocks on the market. MMA is the code. The company that owns 50% of Maronan, Red Metal, code is RDM. They touched a 12-month low on Thursday, which is a fantastic opportunity. They've been listed 20 years, and they have had big runs. They do run 5, 6, 700%. Rob Rutherford has kept that share structure down to 250 million shares.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Oh, look, he hasn't delivered the Powerball yet, but Maronan looks a beautiful project in an area that someone else will want. So look at that one. Look at the depth of the quarterly reports. Look at the joint venture partners, and just start to get a feel for quality stocks. And I had a recommendation a couple of years ago. There was a re-compliance listing on a company called Mayfield Holdings. Code is MYG. That was done at 36 cents. Stock has done bugger all, but they're into this green revolution, into working on electricity systems and providing services. Bless them, when they have a profit warning, they just say profit warning. But they've started to win some contracts, and they just announced a 0.7% dividend. So again, and are they heading towards being cash flow positive? So look at them as a small industrial. I'm not saying it's a good buy. I'm just pointing it out that some of my clients will get a dividend that they're probably their first dividend. So they're the areas of research. And if anything, just understand the psychology of the market, where we're wired to buy high and sell low. But if a company's making progress, if it's in a clinical trial and it drops 2 cents in a day, no one knows anything. Don't think that just because the stock's been sold off that there's insider trading going on. The only real trading going on is annoying high frequency, but that's some wisdom to take away, if anything, Kerry.
Well, it's very good wisdom, and it's interesting that you mentioned the ones Paul Hopper's stable. If people go onto the Small Caps website, you'll see an interview I recently did with Leslie Chong, who is with Imugene. She's very impressive, and we had a very, very good chat. Radio Farm, I'll be speaking to them. I think it's next week. We should have something up from Ricardo from Radio Farm, and Chimeric, I think, is coming up as well. So we're going to cover them all here on Small Caps, ladies and gentlemen. So the other thing that people should do is, Warren Buffett he reads a lot. He doesn't go on social media and pick up on someone saying, I'm at the barbecue and someone said, buy this stock. He actually sits and he deeply reads. He spends a lot of time reading and ignoring social media. I suggest that everybody, it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's a do your homework or let Tony do the homework for you. And that way you've got a much better opportunity in these crazy markets. But don't put a dime of your money into these markets until you've done your research.
I'd just like to finish off, Kerry. Yep. Warren Buffett's just released his letter to shareholders.
Yep.
Worth a read. And speaking of barbecues, Chris Bonwick was at a barbecue. He heard that Western Mining was selling a nickel mine for $15 million. They've paid probably $500 million in tax. So barbecues can pay off. You just don't want to get barbecued on the stock market. So do your own research, get help, consult your partner, your spiritual guide or whatever. Anyway.
And then if you don't want to do the research yourself, reach out to Tony. I'm sure he'll be able to help you. Tony at altocapital.com.au, isn't it?
Yes. And at the moment, I'm as popular as a prom night pimple, so I'll have time to do the admin stuff.
All right, Tony Locantro, we won't leave it so long next time. I'm moving house tomorrow, so in a couple of weeks' time, we will come back and have another catch-up. Thanks for joining me on Small Caps today.
Always a pleasure.